Okay, so D is, this was not answered well either. So let's have a bit of a closer look at this one. It's worth 5 marks. So tactically, this was difficult. You needed to say 5 things or offer 5 factors. This was quite tricky for a lot of you. So, if you're struggling to remember doing this in class, then maybe think about, okay, when I'm learning a new skill, if I'm in a football team and I'm trying to learn something like a bicycle kick or an overhead kick, like what kind of things about me, the player, could affect my ability to learn it quickly versus someone else's ability to learn it much slower? What are our individual differences that could affect how well and how fast we learn? So if I say it like that, you're probably going, oh, right, okay, I understand it now. The context is just the context, but the theory is what stuff makes learning easier or harder. Well, I was quite surprised actually. I'm going to skip to the mark scheme in a second. The most significant thing, forget whether it's me or you or a child or an older person or an athlete, the most important thing is the task itself. If I ask you to learn a bicycle kick rather than practicing keepy uppies, you've never done a volley before, but I'm asking you to get off your feet and do a somersault to do it. That's the complexity of the task. If it's a difficult skill, it's going to take you longer to do it. So again, this is more of a knowledge question, so I'm going to kind of go into this here. Feel free to pause and have a read for yourself, but I'm just going to highlight some of the things that you could have talked about. Okay, as you can see, there are other things potentially other than this list, and some of you got credited for things like transfer of learning, which is sort of in the mark scheme, but transfer of learning is a really good idea. If you've done a skill previously that is similar to the one you're learning, you're going to have more chance of accelerated positive learning because you've already got a motor program that exists that's similar. So yeah, look, individual things. Well, the physical maturation and the physical fitness of the person. If you've got more muscle because you've been through puberty, then you're going to find things like doing a somersault a lot easier because you've got more power. Physical fitness, that kind of is the same thing. If you've got the stamina to be able to keep practicing something over and over again, then you should be able to pick it up quicker. Maturation could also be things like concentration levels as well. So I'm here now, but concentration levels and focus, but not in a physical sense. That would be more to do with age, and that comes in down here. If the age of the player means that they've had more time to build up experience, like Mr. George, for example, as a basketballer versus a 7-year-old, he's got a lot more experience and therefore time to build up a long-term memory. Younger players, again, like younger performers might have bad habits that they've not, they've been taught incorrectly, or they've not had time to learn things yet. They might have poor poor focus and attention. That might be something that the coach or the learning process needs to consider. They can't concentrate for huge amounts of time. Again, like we said, difficulty of the task. The harder something is, the more time it's going to take. The teaching environment as well. Maybe you don't have the right facilities or equipment to make learning easy. If I want you to learn how to do a somersault, it would be great to have a foam pit or a crash mat or something as a physical aid to give you a landing that allows you to practice and try. If I just say, just do a somersault please on this gymnasium floor, that's potentially going to be an injury or not very conducive to you wanting to try. And that comes down to the final point on motivation. This is a really obvious one. We all know if we feel driven to do well, we practice more, and that's called intrinsic motivation. We've not done this stuff yet. This is a Mr. Dyson topic, but we've not done the sports psych of it. But the opposite of intrinsic would be extrinsic. So that might be your coach shouting at you. But if you're intrinsically motivated, you're more likely to study harder for the test, to spend 10 minutes extra practicing your dives or your penalties or whatever it is. So yeah.